Okay, we are live. Welcome back, everybody. It's been a long time.
Yes.
It's a new year, and ChEffect has grown quite a bit in our absence. This is probably going to be our last stream where we're working on ChEffect specifically. Not our last stream together, but I think we're going to move on from ChEffect after this particular stream and maybe find a new project to work on. But Tim has made quite a bit of progress on ChEffect over the holidays while we had some time off. I think just having some fun with the app. So we thought maybe we could he could walk you through some of the features that he's worked on, changes that he's made and whatnot. And then if we have time, before we decide to wrap up, we can look at some of the final features that are listed in our to-dos currently. So, maybe Tim, you want to show off the current state of ChEffect? How many fried chicken entries do you currently have? Is the real question.
Let's open up and see. Zoom on a bit. It's currently 0 project interest.
I see your screen up on my stream, so
Okay.
I think we are good.
We are good. Maybe I'll just open my visual version of things and export. Yeah. So one thing I've added is import and export.
That's cool.
We got some recipes to look at now. And here's a dark mode now, which is I was like dog fooding this over the holidays, and at night time the white was blinding me. So it just matches the system thing right now. So we go dark.
Nice.
We'll go dark as well.
Very cool.
So that is a very important feature.
Very important. Particularly for folks like me who don't use anything except for dark mode.
Yeah, I've got to actually what it looks like before the holidays. So, probably the biggest difference is now that there's an AI assistant feature. And if I hit my key somehow without boxing myself.
Good luck. I'm the king of leaking tokens on stream, so.
It is. Yeah.
Yes, Jeff. Very nice.
And you can set a country to localizing recipe quantities and that kind of stuff.
Nice.
In the settings, you can share, invite other people to your ChEffect.
So what it will grab, it'll basically sync to their version of ChEffect, all your data?
So if you have sync enabled and share it, then all the data is like synced in real time between devices.
Nice.
Cool. So the cool thing about the AI chat is it has access to like a bunch of contexts and tools. So you can ask things like what's for dinner, and then all through like tool called get meal plan. And if we look at the meal plan, you can see that it is indeed curry for dinner tomorrow.
Cool.
And
Not
then
fried chicken, though, I notice.
No fried chicken. And then when you're in a recipe, you can do things like I don't have all on less. And it can like suggest edits to the recipe.
Oh, that's cool. So it like has context on where you are in the app as well.
Yeah, so it can suggest edits. So you can see here that it's got rid of the corner base, replaced curry powder and tomato base.
That's cool.
And when I was using it was actually quite helpful. So if you like don't have a particular ingredient or you want to suggest like alternatives, you can just like chat with AI and get some edits
Folks,
made.
what you didn't know is ChEffect is actually Effectful's first product. Just launching in early 2026. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. And once you have like a modification suggested, you can like choose what to do with it. You can like turn it into a new recipe, commit the changes, or like get rid of them.
That's cool. Does it? And when you like commit it, it overwrites the recipe. I'm assuming in your like LiveStore database. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then you can also do things like create recipes out of thin air, or have it create menus. I'm not sure if did I add menus last time?
The fortnightly plan. I don't remember if I think we were working on adding menus, but I don't think we had gotten to the point of actual implementation.
Right.
Like we had the UI and we were
yeah.
starting to wire up some of the interactions, I think.
Yeah, so menus are just like lists of recipes you can quickly add to the meal plan. So you could go add this to the 27th, and then I'll add, so this is a fortnightly plan, I'll add 2 weeks of recipes to the meal plan. So it's like a easy way of like quickly populating a meal plan with like a set menu. And they're quite easy to create. This menu, 7 days, and just say like, actually I want this to be 14 days. And then you add recipes to each day and drag them around.
Nice.
Or you could get AI to populate the meal plan for you.
Super cool. I like that it treats me with respect and responds with yes, chef, after every instruction.
That's good.
Yeah, this is a cool, like a very simple but cool assistant where like the interface is very simple, but like having it like giving it the context of where you are and all that, it's like it is actually quite useful.
Yeah, I think a lot of like the recipe managers now have like AI features where it's like create recipe from AI or do like very specific things with AI, but none of them have like a general AI chat thing.
You heard it here first, chat. ChEffect paving the way for recipe managers everywhere.
And you can also send images in the chat. So like one thing I tried over the holidays was like taking a picture of some random ingredient that I didn't know it was. And I was like, suggest some recipes for this. And it actually identified it and at least a recipe for it.
Interesting. Did we can, I guess, get into the technical details later, but yeah, show me. Are there any other features that you added to the app since your last stream?
There's a bunch of small like workflows that are not coming to me. Probably things like unit conversions that uses the country you selected. So if this was in like pounds and ounces and all that kind of stuff, then you put convert, it would go to the New Zealand equivalent.
Cool. And is it uses AI to do that, or do you have to put like just the conversions?
AI to do it.
Nice.
Or maybe we could try.
Classic.
Yes.
I swear GPT knows this recipe better than any of us now.
It uses kg and sus on it. But yeah. We would need like a really American recipe.
Truly American recipe, pasta salad. Creamy macaroni pasta salad. Yeah, that sounds American.
Sounds pretty cool. Recipe ingredients. There we go. What else is this? Let's see what is this? I added multiple grocery lists just as I needed it. So you can do things like we were going camping with one of those, so I probably camping lists. I did things like you need to buy some camping chairs.
Beef jerky.
They don't really do jerky in New Zealand.
America. Yeah, this is super cool.
But it looks like they've already converted everything to one.
Interesting. So it will look at the you said it gets access to your localization as it's doing stuff.
Yeah, I'm not sure if the import one does actually. If I go to AI helpers, is it extra? Recipe me around here. Yeah, the system prompt doesn't have the country.
Maybe OpenAI has access to your location based on your IP or something.
Yeah, maybe.
Or like the headers or something. I don't know. Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is super cool. Very handy. If you turn on sync, how does that work? Do you have to connect it to this ID? That's your app's ID, right? But if you enable sync, do you have to provide it some remote machine it's going to be syncing to?
No, currently it's just hooked up to Cloudflare.
But
but in the future, when LiveStore supports it, I'd like to add self-hosting capability so you can have your own sync server. But at the
Well, I'm
moment, it's
saying
all
like
sharing one.
it's all sharing one big like.
Yeah.
So every instance of LiveStore of ChEffect out there is just like sharing the same sync server at the moment.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
I've applied
Cool.
for like hardware's open source sponsorship to see if I can keep it. Otherwise, I'll go the self-hosting route.
Gotta get Dylan to sponsor us. All right, well, maybe we could take a look at some of like the more technical stuff. I'm actually very curious what your experience was working with the AI SDKs, given the work I've put into it, and I kind of want to know like what the good and the bad was. Did you end up using the persisted chat for your chat implementation, or did you have some other thing that you end up using?
I don't think I did use it. Let's look. AI chat. Calls it source. AI chat. So we have like a really massive toolkit.
Cool.
And a base system prompt. It's using GPT 5.2. It's hard coded at the moment. But the system prompt is currently just kind of like steering it to act like a professional chef. That's why you get the chef responses and things.
Yes, chef.
Yeah, chef. And then it's explaining a bit about the tools that it has access to. There's like prompts like prefer using tools to show information rather than just like dumping it into the chat. To try to keep the chat a bit linear, and then like utilizing the app itself to present information.
Makes sense.
And then a section about links. So instead of like just putting a recipe name in the chat, you can like put links to things, and you can do like find like oops. Spawn spread. And it should link to one. And then you can click on it and it'll go to the right place. Okay. Didn't work.
I have to get fried chicken fajitas.
I have feeling. So there's like a base system prompt.
Nice.
Base system prompt, and then it is like a dynamic, injects dynamic stuff into the system prompt. So there's a concept of memory entries. So in the LiveStore database, there's like a bunch of learning notes that the AI captures. Like you can say, remember that I am allergic to peanuts. And it all
Do you have
like
access?
saves a learning note.
Do you have access to the learning notes in the UI yet? Like, can you add and remove them?
You can just sorry. CAI.
Got it. Cool.
Yeah. Then you can just like ask it to remove or forget things.
Nice. Okay. Cool.
So those learning notes get injected into the context, and then it like reads the current location from the router, and then injects context from that. So if you're currently on a recipe page, it will inject the entire recipe into the context and that kind of thing.
Cool.
So the home page, it just says like you're on browsing list of recipes. If you're on a recipe page, injects the recipe itself. If you're on the grocery list, then it injects the grocery list, meal plan, etc., etc.
Did you end up
Then-
moving this to 4.0, or is this still 3.0 Effect?
This is still 3.0.
Because LiveStore only works with 3.0 right now, I think, right?
Yeah, I didn't have Effect add-in until I put that at that point.
Got it. Okay. Cool.
And this is where the chat service actually begins. And no, I'm not using persisted AI chat.
I think that the persisted chat ends up basically doing the same thing you're doing there, where there's like a key value store that you can configurably inject. But it would be interesting to get your feedback on that if you ever refactor this piece.
Yeah, I think I tried to use it and will run into some issues, but I can't remember what they were.
If you end up trying it again and you run into the same issues, let me know.
Yeah. So it builds the chat instance. And then we need like a real-time list of messages, not just a list of messages after the message has been sent. So I'm currently storing, this currently stores the current history in an add-in. So when like chunks come in from the stream, it updates the prompt on every chunk.
Got it. Does the whole chat get sent every time then? Yes, it does.
Yeah,
Okay,
so-
I see what you're doing. I got it. Yep. Makes sense.
And then I'm doing a bunch of stuff to get like, because I added file support, I don't really want to add like a megabyte of data into the key value store. So currently it just like swaps it out for like a placeholder.
And where does it
I
actually...
go- So here I've got this list of stuff. I could add that image to the chat and go, add these people that are camping first list. So just this file attachment. At the moment, it persists that rather than persisting the entire file to the history.
Makes sense. Cool.
So there was a bunch of like fiddly things to get all the file stuff working, and I had to patch Effect AI in a few places so I get schemas working.
Yeah. I have a I have a solution for like trying to keep the schemas in better sync in the 4.0 repo, but this is probably like one of the most annoying things is keeping the schema in sync with the open API spec.
Yeah, there was a few issues with like enabling the OpenAI web search tools. Or
That I think is fixed, so you should be able to remove that from your patch. But yeah.
And it was a time where I didn't have enough AI credit, and at the moment I'm just like catching all errors just because I could not sure how to handle like specific error cases with providers.
Yeah.
So
I
there's
have
no like specific error for like out of credit or that kind of thing. So
yeah, I have some work going on in 4.0 right now where you basically I'm trying to expand the domain model of AI error to be much larger. I think I'm up to like 22 different error cases now in
nice.
4.0. But that obviously sucks, like in the error channel, like to have that, like your error channel just explodes. So I linked a PR in our chat, but the idea is basically you get the ability to define an error that has a reason, and the reason is the actual union, and it allows the error channel to just show like AI error, but then you have specialized combinators for working with an error that has a reason for the union. Because like the same issue comes up in the CLI package, the same issue comes up in platform where we have like these domain specific errors that we want to expose, but we don't want to blow up the error channel when somebody uses like file system or something like that, right? So anyway, I think that I'm trying to like make that experience better, because I agree, like right now it's not ideal, and it's actually quite difficult to get at that information right now if you want it. So
yeah, that would be good. Probably the other thing is appending messages is a little bit clunky at the moment. It's like you got popped up make message, but then params is like this really complex looking type. So you're not actually sure what options you can add here.
I wonder if simplify would fix that, like the simplify helper type.
Maybe. It would be good if you could just like add text here or something.
Yeah.
But you can figure it out eventually.
Yeah.
So this here is the agentic loop. So I'm in a while true. It sends a message or the current history along with the tools and gets the response back. I can't remember. I think I had to do that because it's a streaming response. You don't get like the response back. You get like just a bunch of parts. So I'm manually building a response here. And then on all the tool results, so it might be tagged to say whether it's transient or terminal. So like if there's a tool response that's purely like just show something in the chat, then it's terminals. Currently I don't use it, but it's there just in case I wanted to just show some like fancy UI for like a tool. Like if there was a tool called like show recipe card, then that would be considered a terminal tool call. And it would just show like a recipe card that you might interact with. And there will be no follow-up from the AI. Whereas transient ones are like do another loop in the agent loop and let the AI come up with a follow-up message. So if there wasn't an error, if there was no text response from the AI, or there was no like terminal tool result, then we continue the loop. Cool. Otherwise, we break. And then we just got like a ensuring here to make sure like the once the stream is finished, that the history gets persistent.
Yeah, I'd be really curious to see whether or not you can shoehorn the persistent chat in here, or if you have problems, what it is, because this is basically what it does. Some of this.
Yeah, I think the difference here is that it's all done local first in the front end. So it's a little bit different of a use case than having like a service streaming down responses and persisting.
Yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense. Cool. I like this. How do you integrate the chat with the UI?
So I have an add-in runtime, which exposes the AI chat service. And so that's OpenAI client layer, and it needs access to LiveStore.
Before we get into the actual UI side, we actually have a question from chat, which maybe we can both try to answer. NaxoDev asks us, been going over Effect lately, but I wonder if it makes sense to start a production app now or wait to V4 considering the potential breaking changes.
I think the migration path will be relatively easy, so I'd start with 3.0 now.
Yeah, I kind of agree with Tim. Also, V4 is going to be in beta, and then like pre-release or release candidate, whatever we're calling it, for a while before it's like considered stable, whereas 3.0, the core of Effect is stable. So probably better to start with 3.0 and then migrate later.
Yeah, a lot of the ecosystem packages, even though they're labeled as unstable, that doesn't mean they're not production ready. It just means that we're reserving the right to make API changes. So there's a lot of companies using the quote-unquote unstable packages in production right now.
Some companies even using our alpha packages in production right now.
Yeah.
All right, sorry, Tim. Go ahead.
So here we're building the runtime. So the OpenAI client layer can like accesses the OpenAI settings and like dynamically builds the layer.
Cool.
So here we have like an atom of a layer. And that is used here to do like to dynamically build the chat service. But the result is we have the chat service in the runtime. We have the current prompt, which is used to render the list of messages. System updates. So this is used to, so like, if I have this open on another device, I kind of want to see the list update dynamically if another person is chatting. So, how I use this a lot? Maybe it just gets used in the UI, I guess. Persistence buffers over here again. So in the service we have, it subscribes to it, and then every time there's an update, it updates the history from persistence. So everything is getting persisted to LiveStore, so it's like reactive.
That's cool.
I made like a key value store that wraps, that's powered by LiveStore.
That's cool. Is it in the LiveStore Atom package or is it in the like your local?
It's just in here at the moment. All this. So accesses LiveStore. And just implements all the methods.
Could be cool to upstream if it's useful enough.
Maybe. You have to add like a schema for it as well. So it's got a key values table.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a couple of functions. One is for sending a message. And then there's one for clearing a chat. And there's just like a bunch of queries here for like the tools for accessing information.
I noticed one thing when you're chatting, the text does not stream in currently, right?
Yeah, it should do.
Ask it something where it has to like render a lot of text.
What are the ingredients? For blushing. Oh, no. Not showing specifically. It just streams in quite fast on GP5.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah, because like I see the tool call come in and then all the text is just there. So I wonder.
What are some recipes ideas for darkness? It's beauty. Anyone? Cool.
It is rendering the markdown nicely, which is cool.
Yeah.
But I think right now it is probably streaming, but it's not rendering in a streaming fashion, I don't think. Unless it's just too fast for me to see.
Yeah, maybe. Results. It's not shipable. Right. So it's only sort of raping cuts. So it's Lorraine Farsi. They're slow. Because I'm in a crop top from this box parts. Reasoning. So it's like the reasoning is confusing it. So all the text stuff is. So maybe a thought filter. Delays the impact. So the hotel. Actually,
Can you filter on the stream based on the part?
I think I only want to filter it for the UI. See if I will keep the reasoning in the history. Uploading decent.
Sausage.
That's it. So maybe for this is the UI one. So maybe here and be the past. So we're not 2.0 file to when we just like get rid of.
You probably just do it like it's not equal to reasoning. Right?
You know, it doesn't start with this in this A. Mm. I know it seems to be tripping up this API. Feels it good. You maybe it's you kind of want to keep toggles and text.
What is your suspicion about what's going on here?
For some reason, this is filtering out your text up is or not like if there's no text end, maybe it's not adding a context text part. So I guess this is only for like a complete response. So we kind of need to build a response from a partial one.
I think there's actually an open PR I need to review. It's probably been open for a while. Where one of our community members was adding something to make accumulating streaming responses easier.
What we could do down here is like if active text deltas is greater than 0 and the partial text bar. Essentially demons. Because I'm feeling this is not happening.
It should still, though, at the end, it should still push. Hang on, what is this happening? It's doing. I see. I'm not actually creating a text part until we get a text end.
Yeah. Yes,
it's in the base SDK.
We can do almost this at the same. So from this goes with so really cut videos.
You could probably do it for both text and reasoning if you want to.
I don't care about text in the moment. So.
Yeah, let's see if it works then.
Active text office done delete. It's no longer active with that port. So yeah, right, yeah, active text office done forward each. And what is this? Could be added as? So this is a text field. Text. Yeah. Let's try that.
You have to apply, yeah.
On All's not very no.
I think it was like, what are some ideas for dinner or something like that. There you go. Nice. Okay. That is very nice looking.
Cool. Streaming. Chat service. So a whole ton of nice ones in here. Yeah, I'm going to choose. I guess the tools. If I thought we didn't cover, but it basically just like there's a bunch of interaction with LiveStore. Search recipes, does a query, it wins the recipes, etc.
Cool.
So just recipe edit. Scale recipe. Listing grocery list names, naming grocery items, updating list walls. And then a bunch of stuff for interacting with the meal plan and menus. You can import recipes and URL, and then there's like a couple of tools here for like saving those learning entries.
Nice. I like it.
And then the AI, the UI, or the AI. What are we got here? There's a bunch of like things for like integrating with mobile or back. So if you hit back, it closes the modal instead of going back a page.
Got it.
And then we have the button. And the actual modal itself. I mean, it's using like a package for keeping the content on the bottom, sticking to the bottom.
Nice.
But if you like scroll up, then it will not scroll to the bottom. I didn't want to implement that myself.
I don't blame you.
Yeah. And there's like a bunch of like hacky stuff for making it work better mobile. So when the keyboard opens the mobile, it will like correctly size itself and all that kind of stuff.
Cool.
And then
Yeah,
the messages list subscribes to that prompt item. from before, and then just renders each message. If there's no messages, then it shows that thing. Otherwise, it just renders each message.
Nice.
It just, and then uses that helper from here. So it only renders the message of it as visual, and we're going to consider text messages and tool result messages as visual right now.
Cool.
Tips. And
I can hear
then
both my kids in the other room crying. I'll mute myself while you chat.
there's a component for the input. So we have the files down here. So when you attach files, they show up here, and you can remove them. And then handle simulate. Yeah, that just sends the message and then resets the input. And right, those are the file thumbnails. A little interesting in here. Head file. That's full of files. So we're using like a text area. So if you like insert new lines, resizes and all that kind of stuff.
Very nice.
And then the button, when it's in the loading state, it transitions to like a stop. Like a wall goes to a pulsing stop, so you can click to interrupt the current message. Wait, here it is. So if we're not in a loading stage, then it submits the form. Otherwise, it sends like an interrupt to the send function. And that's just like built into Effect Atom. So I didn't really have to do anything extra to get interruption.
Very nice.
Yeah. So that's typical overview of the AI chat.
I like it. It looks very nice.
Yeah, it works.
Kind of cool
well.
how you got everything working with LiveStore as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I think like all the tool calling and stuff is what makes it a good chat. Otherwise, it would just be like chat
Yes, chef.
GPT. Otherwise, it would just be like, here's a recipe, and dumps the text into here, and then you would have to copy paste it in. So, which would be really annoying. And then
what are you using for Markdown rendering in the chat? Or did you use like Stream Down, or did you use some other thing?
I initially used String Down, but it added like several megabytes to the bundle, so now I'm just using real simple React Markdown library.
Cool.
But potentially use String Down in the future, because I think there's an issue to like fix the don't use as.
Maybe
it's being worked on.
Maybe we can take a look at the to-dos to close out the stream and like close the ChEffect chapter for our stream together, because I think my kids are both having meltdowns, so I'm gonna go give my wife a hand.
Okay. One thing I wanted to add was like timers. In most recipes have like you go 3 minutes. So it would be cool if that was like a hyperlink that when you click on it, started a timer.
It'd also
It'll
be
be
cool
interesting
if somehow AI knew like that this contained like a duration, and like when you click on this card, maybe like a little button or section shows up on the bottom of the card that also like when the recipe is being ingested, maybe there's something you can put into the database that says this particular step contains like durations that need to be like timed, and then like when you actually click the card, you get like timers for each duration in that step.
Yeah, I'm not sure if we need AI for it. I mean, you could just regex the durations, and then if you click on one, it starts the timer for it.
Tim, just throw AI at it. Come on.
Yeah, I think it was simpler to not use AI.
You're no fun.
Another thing I wanted to add was like notes. So yeah, you could add notes to particular days. But I'm not sure if I need it or not. It would be nice to have notes to
Well-
menus, and then if you add it to the meal plan, the notes come along with it.
Well, the app looks very good. It's got a lot of features in a very compact UI, which is nice. And it sounds like you got some productive usage out of it over the holidays, so that's good.
Yeah, I think it's something I could use daily now.
And I guess like the syncing is like probably another thing for the to-do list, but like, you know, making the syncing configurable, not just like hard-coded to Cloudflare, but you can also like input information about like the sync server or something like that.
Yeah, there's a couple of things on LiveStore that would kind of need addressing. One of them is event log compaction. So right now, if you like use that for a while and then add it to a new device, it has to replay every single event in the entire history to get the app up to date. So if you've been using it for like a few days, they've like done a bunch of stuff with the grocery list. When you add it to a new device, you'll see like the grocery list populate and then clear, populate and then clear a few times before it catches up. So
I think Johannes is it's a problem that he is working on, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah, I think so. So I think that would be key to get like a good sync experience. And
Cool.
then the other one is like the ability to self-host like a server, sync server, and ideally everything would be like packaged in a Signal Docker image, including the UI. So it's really easy to like host it
Yeah.
on your own like home server if you wanted to.
This looks great, man. Very nice work. And I'm glad you got productive use out of our little app that we've been hacking on over the past few months. So, yeah. Anyway, for those of you watching, thank you very much for sticking with us. We hope you enjoyed going on the journey of ChEffect with us. You can follow Tim's progress on ChEffect on the repository if you'd like. But probably next week we'll start working on something else. Not sure what that'll be yet, but stay tuned, and we will see you folks next time.
See you, everyone.
Cheers.